Hello everyone, again on this website cameralabs.org where we have some interesting articles and some good examples of sometimes the pictures, old pictures, historical pictures so-called. So this article is about the dollar bills. So it's like the first one is the $1 from 1770, equal to, can see how much, 4.6 sterling, I think. So the money came into the use in the middle of 18th century, so it's 1700s. The $50 bill is 1779. Very interesting. The bearer is entitled to receive 50 Spanish mil dollars, or an equal sum in gold or silver, according to a resolution of Congress. Can't understand what this means. The 14th January 1779, $50, some sign, and what we see here is perennis. To the left we see the North America, $50. So I think this kind of protection. And here we have a number of this coupure. Okay, I hope you will better see this now. Okay, we have the 19th century, the beginning of the 19th century. It's the Agricultural Bank of Tennessee who pay on demand the $5. What we have here, we have a farmer on the right, we have a guy farmer on the left. Looks like a woman here, I don't know, kind of a woman probably. It's March 1854. The next one is 1862. So we see we have kind of missing period since 1779. Those guys who wrote this article say that this is how it was looking, the dollar that was made by Continental Congress in the quality of first national currency. The design was a little bit different from the colonial money. So they had a colonial money before, and on the back side of this paper there was the image of not constructed pyramid, so not finished pyramid, right? This banknote cost the government to print it, and they paid like $240 million, and that led this country to the huge inflation. And till 1781 all this money totally became priceless. I mean, so their value was zero. Okay, and what I'm trying to say is that since then we don't have any money here. Maybe you can find me some pictures of that money so we can check it out, because the first money they start with in 19th century is 1854, and it's a Bank of Tennessee, and we have Confederate States of America $10. Also 1862 from Richmond. And we have see the allies, so-called allies, I don't know how do you call them, the northerners, $10, 1862 with Lincoln, probably Lincoln. Who is it? Yeah, 1862. Okay, it says $10 payable at the Treasury of the U.S. at New York. So United States, and that was Confederate States, America. Okay, this was 1862 and this was 1862, so it's the same two types of money at the same time. Check out, we don't see, actually I don't see any Christian symbolism on each of those at 1862, and here at 1854 also no Christian symbolism. So but we have some symbolism of antique times, like this woman looks pretty Greco-Roman, let's say. Also the bird probably symbolizes something of antique times, and the tree part, whatever you call it, the olive trees or whatever, here it is. And here we have the greenback. It's the greenback of $10. Also we have at the end of the war, the financial system of the country came to the new step that made that was the golden age of design of the banknotes. And in addition to greenback, they gave the silver certificates. It was and they were available for change in coins and little pieces of silver. How do you call them? Okay, banknotes with the model Washington from 1886. Also one silver dollar payable to bearer on demand in Washington, D.C. that has been deposited in the Treasury of the United States. One silver dollar, so you can exchange it in silver, which is supposed to be deposited at the Treasury, and it's like 1888. Okay, we already have the loan number here, but still it's a Treasury of United States, it's not Federal Reserve. Also the silver certificate, 1892, also antique design, the fasces here, the eagle here. Okay, the column and the Capitolium, all this symbolize the new Rome. So who wanted to multiply this tradition? Those who were controlling the Holy Roman Empire, they wanted to spread this ego, fasces and all these stars and all this antique, almost antique, because starfords, columns, this antique architecture, all these clothes, that lead us to one thing, the pre-flood civilization that was before. And the Holy Romans wanted to show the world that they were like the offsprings and so-called the descendants or the survivors, whatever you call them. But actually they were, as we know, controlled by the parasites, and we're going to talk about this later, maybe next time. I'll start with this information. But let's continue. In 1892 there was an educational series of banknotes that was dedicated to the world exhibition, and those banknotes were the most beautiful in the history of development of the U.S. money. And on the banknote of $1 there is Columbia that points on the monument of Washington. In the creation of banknotes, there demand a lot of complex art elements, and with those they became so popular. Okay, so this is the silver certificate of 1898-96 with George and Martha Washington on the same banknote. Also we have this, I think this looks like the Gamma bird. Let me show you. Yeah, in Russian tradition. So it's like antique, the preflood civilization knowledge, and it's spread also on this design. Probably they'll tell you that it's some type of angel or something, like it's like more Christian than it seems, but look at the head gears that they have. It's antique style, so it's definitely the ancient, and Washington as the Mason knew all this knowledge of the preflood era. They were covering it, and they look alike, I think. Like them, I don't know. First I thought this was one guy with the makeup and no makeup, but then I checked that some difference is still visible. But whatever. Silver certificate of $5, 1896. Also still the bearer on demand. Payable to the bearer on demand. 5 silver dollars. On this banknote we have allegoric scene, knows that electricity given the light to the world. I think what it presents, and this image demonstrates leadership of America in technological process. But I mean, yes, it could be commented anyway, but what we actually see is we see angel type of person, right, with the light. On the left we see a person with the lightnings, right? So it looks like maybe an anti-god or somebody, right? Or maybe even Perun, because Perun always symbolizes the electricity, right? And here we have another one here, also in the anti-close, and another one, but without the wings. But also we see these bird here, again, it's an eagle, and the America as they stand on America. So this is supposed to be symbolizing something else, but I don't know if we can translate it like this, because Lucifer is also the light, right? Illumination. So, but we see a woman, we don't see a man or transgender person or something like this. That could be represented something like what we know as Lucifer or Satan. But really this guy here could be somebody from anti-gods, whoever, Zeus, maybe his son, or maybe the Perun, the god of lightning and the head god of Russian Slavic pantheon, the preflood pantheon. Also probably was worshipped in Tartaria, because most of the evidence show that the territory of Russia was also under control of Tartaria, so perhaps those people were just living under a different name of country, and it was the same country. Only after the betrayal of Peter the Great, so-called Peter the Great, and the re-establishing the capital in St. Petersburg, something changed. Probably was a huge war, a civil war between Tartaria and what we know right now as Russia, which was controlled also by German bloodlines, also the same as we see here on those banknotes. And the silver certificate on $5 of 1899, the quality of banknotes really improved. As we see, this silver certificate looks very interesting. And amid those silver certificate, the banknotes had those fancy, beautiful prints on the sides, and really strong portraits. In addition to silver, there was a gold certificate. Sometimes they reached the in the amount of equal to $10,000. Those banknotes were in the circulation until 1933, until the President Roosevelt prohibited the collecting the gold in the private sector, right? So here's this gold certificate for $500 of 1865. So federal government started to give the gold certificates a couple years before the silver, but they were not so popular because probably they had a larger amount of money, costed much more. In 1865 we had the earliest series of the gold certificate, and they never were printed in large nominals. They were printed only in large nominals, so large, big numbers, right? This is 1905, so they started to do the smaller ones in that time. So it's like $20. We have George Washington also here. Payable to the bearer on demand. So it's still the U.S. Treasury certificate. This certifies that that there have been deposited in the Treasury of the United States of America $20 in gold coin. In the early years of 20th century, the Americans had the new but at the same time the very familiar design of these banknotes, and they had 3 colors. So the money of 1905 were so bright, and they also were known as the technique of a series of technicolor. Here we have the back side of the gold certificate for $1,000. Also United States of America gold certificate, $1,000 in gold coin. On the front side was the Alexander Hamilton. So the government continued to print the gold certificates until 1934. $100 of 1914. And here we have completely new banknotes. These are called the Federal Reserve notes. And they say the United States of America will pay to the bearer on demand. Okay, so something changed, and the Federal Reserve is authorized by the Federal Reserve Act of December 23rd, 1913. It's the first series of 1914. We have the Franklin here, the good old Franklin that we know, but standing different way. And the Congress changed the laws. It took the Act of Federal Reserve in 1913. It accepted it, and on the front of these banknotes there were the portraits of deceased presidents, and the main colors became black, red, and blue. This design went through the most of 20th century. So the $5 of 1914, also Federal Reserve note. So no more antique design, right? No more antique design. We see some type of sailors who don't look antique, they look like medieval clothes and stuff like this. So it's like probably the 17th century clothes, and they look like pioneers, the first settlers. On the back of those banknotes, they pictured the moments of American history. This Federal Reserve note of $5 illustrate the fight and the problems, fight for life, and the problems of survival in the early American settlements. And the $10,000 bill of 1934. To see the American banknote, the person on the front of this banknote that was never a president, very, very strange. But this is the Simon Chase, and it was acceptance from the rules. Chase was the Secretary of Treasury, of State Treasury, at the time of the period of Abraham Lincoln, and he was the one that wanted to put the famous "Writing in God we Trust" famous slogan. So he was the guy, and so I don't know if the Chase Bank is also connected to him, then probably he's the founder of that bank, or maybe his offspring. So okay, very, very interesting person. In the current design of $100 of 1996, we have the Franklin looking at us. Very interesting. So this cultural cult redesign of banknote was created in 1996, which is pretty similar to 3/6s, right? The banknotes also changed in the nominal of $5, $10, $20, $50, and $100. Some presidents became larger, and they were like pushed from the center of the picture. Some were changing the color and something like this. So even we know that history changes, the money shows a lot. So if you have any examples of the money before 18 50s, 1860s, how it looked, please send me the link on the email that's in the description of my channel, so I can make a review on them. Probably you will. So, thanks a lot for watching.